What's up, Lycans? Welcome to the first episode of a series I'm calling Solo Emissary. I see a lot of people worried about getting sunk while they're soloing, so they'll leave off an emissary flag for that extra bit of protection and to hide from any reapers that are floating around on the map. What I want to do with this series is show you some efficient ways you can grind out some cash and rep with that flag flying high. Just before we dive into the guide, we're getting really close to that 100 subs for our link. If you enjoy my content and you want to see more Sea of Thieves guides and gameplay, then please consider hitting that subscribe button. Hitting the bell will give you notifications of when I upload, and it goes towards helping the channel a huge amount. This first video, we're going to look at Flameheart. I've rated the difficulty at about a medium for this one. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour to complete solo, depending on how awkward Flameheart decides to be. With a grade 5, Order of Souls, Gold Hoarder or Merchant, you're looking at around 75 to 80k. If you're brave enough to fly the Reaper flag, you'll get 110 to 120k. I have done a general Flameheart guide, which the link will be above now. A lot of the tips in that guide apply to soloing it, but I'll repeat the key ones in this video with a few extra for soloing. First tip is to stock up well. It's a bit harder to grab the storage crates on the fly that drop from the ships. A full round of the outpost is normally plenty of supplies to get started. Secondly, once you arrive, you want to stay around the edges of the battle. The last place you want to be when you're solo is in between a bunch of ghost ships. They'll absolutely light you up. I generally keep my sails forward for the whole encounter. There's more positions for your ship to be moving quickly than having them side to side. What I like to do here is choose a target and try and take out isolated ships. Third tip, and probably the most important one, where your ship is going and how it is turning is absolutely your top priority. Sloops are notorious for filling up slowly, and a few hits from the ships isn't going to sink you. What will ruin you is running to repair while your ship is sailing itself into more enemies, or worse, kegs that the enemies drop off the back of the ships. You can grab a bucket or two in between correcting the wheel if things get really hairy, but start patching holes once you know your ship is sailing in a safe direction. Fourth tip is to try your best not to get knocked off the ship. I'd prioritise it in this order. If you have a cannon angle, but you know you're going to take shots in the process, then commit and try and take down the other ship. If you have no cannon angle, but you're about to take hits, make sure your ship is sailing safely and then stand below deck so you don't get knocked off. If you do get knocked off, like I did while I was recording this footage, don't panic, swim directly away from your ship and hope that you don't get mega red like I did and a merm spawns pretty quickly. Once you're back, grab a bucket or two, check your ship is sailing safely and start to repair and book it as needed. Fifth tip is about the positioning. So the best angle I find is to be slightly offset from a ship coming towards you. I'll show it in this clip now. If I see this angle approaching, I'll usually raise my sails completely and put the ship in a slight turn to follow the ship. You can usually get about 10 cannon shots off quite easily doing this, which is enough to kill a captain, and it's enough to take half of Flameheart's HP down. The last place you want to be is side by side, traveling in the same direction, or directly behind the ghost ships just in case of kegs. The sixth tip comes down to collecting the loot. Now the sketchiest bit of loot to collect is from the second captain ship in the second wave. After he dies, another round of standard ships are going to spawn and you'll be potentially in a really bad spot. There's two ways to deal with this. My personal preference is to raise sails near the loot and put the ship in a full spin either way. That way I'll take shots at the ships that are coming near me, hopefully take a couple out that are dangerous to you, and then you can harpoon the loot as the ship spins around. A slightly safer way would be to wait until the captain's ship is on the outskirts of the area you're fighting Flameheart before you fire that final cannon shot. It's more important to stay afloat than it is to get all the loot, so you know, a little bit of something is better than nothing of everything. So if it gets really hairy, just drop sails and get your ship out of there. Lastly, keep an eye on the horizon. If you see ships about, you've got a few decisions you could make. You can abandon what you're doing and sell what you have and then go from there, which is a totally fine choice to make. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You can continue on with the event and see if the ship approaches and then make a decision to fight or get out. If you don't plan on fighting, it's going to be harder to run away at this point, as a two-man sloop is going to catch you eventually. When bigger ships, they will get you if you're on your own. Or you can bail briefly, get rid of them, and then carry on. I'll personally always encourage people to PvP. It's my favourite thing to do in the game, and the more you do it, the better you are. But there's no shame in running when you're a solo. Me personally, I leave solo players alone, but that's by no means a rule, and especially if you're raising an emissary flag, some people will just come for you. This event in particular is great for practicing your solo skills. It will help you learn your priorities, your cannon aim, give you a good idea of what your ship is capable of and what it can handle in terms of holes. So with a sloop, you can let it fill up quite a bit before you can start bucketing, and you can empty it very quickly. Keep practicing, and eventually that ship watching you in the distance won't seem so scary. So before we finish this video, just a general note, it's also completely fine to sell in between what you're doing. It's quicker to stack it, but it's also riskier. Do what suits you and your skill level. With these guides, we'll go over a lot of tips for each event, and I can put out, and I plan to put out, a solo sloop general guides to go along with these. If that's something you guys want to see, let me know in the comments below. As always guys, take it easy, stay safe, and we'll see you on the seats.